Welcome back to another Dad Tech POV video. Today the big story that caught my attention was this headline about Google publishes research paper where they broke the Bitcoin encryption. Well, in true science journalism fashion, the actual facts of the research was quite different from what got reported in the headlines. And basically, it was a theoretical situation where they said it may be possible to crack the Bitcoin encryption much earlier than expected using quantum computing techniques. Now, that means that your Bitcoin is safe, it's not cracked as of now, but it does make one wonder, could it someday be cracked? I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an encryption expert. I'm not even a Bitcoin expert. I have casual interest in crypto. I've done a little bit of trading over the years, but I don't consider myself this big expert in it. But in the same way that nobody could have anticipated, well, people anticipated AI, right? People anticipated the AI explosion. That's how the Terminator movies were made, right? Well, very few people were able to anticipate exactly how it played out and how it played out so quickly. Um, and who's to say the same thing can't happen with quantum computing? And then quantum computing together with AI, who's to say? I don't see any guarantees necessarily about Bitcoin being safe, forever into the future. People say I've been interested in Bitcoin really from the beginning. Not exactly the beginning. I would say about 2011, 2012 is when I kind of first started hearing about it and learning about it. And one of the things that people would always say about it was it's impossible to ban. It can't be banned, right? You can't make it illegal because of, its encryption, its math, it's impossible to control the distribution and all that. Well, we make lots of things illegal that it's really hard to control the distribution. Um, and we still do it. And people do comply, right? Because it's comply, or, if you continue to break the law, yeah, we might not have instant enforcement like we do with some of these banking regulations and things in the IRS, where they can lock down your accounts like that, confiscate all your money, that kind of thing. Maybe they can't do that with Bitcoin, but they can launch an investigation. Bitcoin may exist in cyberspace and you may have your seed phrases, but you exist in real life, right? You exist in real space. You have to travel between borders, international borders, and show your passport and things like that. So I've always been skeptical of that argument that it can't be made illegal, it can't be banned, it's more powerful than the state, like this kind of stuff. It's an interesting technology for sure. Something I'm not one to give financial advice at all, but if people look at it as an investment, I don't think it makes sense to have like everything, your entire investment portfolio in it, but some is it's fun, right? It's fun to be involved. It's fun to be involved with this cutting edge technology and all that. Um, but this, honestly, even though, I'm not an alarmist, and even though I agree that this headline was blown way out of proportion, I still think it's a good idea to take Bitcoin and using it as an investment vehicle with a grain of salt. I think people get excited about it when they have this technology. Their imagination runs wild with all the possibilities. Um, and I do agree with people that say that it gets blamed for a lot of crime, but it's really very similar to cash in that way, how it functions as a facilitator of crime. Um, and I think that's uh, a good argument as well. But, um, I do think it's worth taking caution, especially, I got a family that depends on me. I'm not going to put everything we got into Bitcoin. I'm just not. Not into anything, actually. So, um, you do your own research, do what you want to do. Um, and I think it's a fun technology to learn about. Doing a little bit of crypto trading is fun. It's a fun space to be in. Um, but I'm not going all in with it. So that's kind of my brief clip for today. I do want to start developing a regular kind of format for these videos. I want to talk about a couple of different stories. I want to maybe talk about something from my daily life. I'm actually doing a lot of different projects right now with automations and things like that. And I do plan to get into all that. So stick with me here. I'm going to try to do an upload every day, Monday through Friday. I'm going to keep them short. I'm aiming for that 5 to 10 minute sweet spot to make it like a daily update kind of thing. This one's going out pretty late at night, but I'm aiming to get them out actually early in the morning. So, well, we'll see how it goes. So, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.